Welcome to this free immigration help channel. Today is April 9th, 2023, and we are getting into the volume 57 of me answering your immigration related questions in the comments. As you can see, I have everything pulled up here. Before I begin, as always, I'm going to mention I am not an immigration attorney. This is not a legal advice. All the information that I provide in my videos on this channel are directly from official government sources, USCIS, and of course the Department of State with their visa bulletin. So let's start with the very first comment from Brennan Shanks. I really appreciate this video. I've been having a problem for weeks that the links to fill out the form online do not work. Any suggestions? I'm filling it out for U4U, Uniting for Ukraine. I'm the US citizen. Alright Brennan, let's take a look. I'm going to use this as an opportunity for everyone who's watching to demonstrate the navigation on USCS website. As you can see, this is the homepage, official government website .gov. Always make sure that you're getting your information, all your forms, anything that you do with immigration from official government sources. Alright, so we're going to click on forms here at the top, navigation menu, and then all forms, and the form in question is I-134A. So you can scroll down to it. It's in alphabetical and numerical order, or you can just type in 134 and it should come up. Let's see. There we go. Online request to be a supporter and declaration of financial support. And this is the form that you need to fill out if you want to sponsor someone from the country that is experiencing some kind of crisis. Ukraine currently. There are a few other countries that this is applicable to. This is applicable also to Cuba, Haiti, Nicaragua, and Venezuela. And Ukraine, of course. These are the countries currently that you can submit this I-134A. So it is available to file online. USCS recently, well, couple months recently made it available to file online to streamline the process because more and more people are finding out about this application, and obviously the volume of the application grows, so they need to process it faster. That's why the wait times are getting a little bit longer. So we're gonna click on this. Actually, I'm opening a new tab and let's see. Okay, so we got this link working. Let's see, this link seems to be working fine. So, Brennan, I'm gonna ask you a follow-up question. If you can, which specific link is not working? Are you able to open the online portal because basically the USCS, they have their portal, which is kind of, let's say, universal for all of the forms. All of the forms that are available to file online can be found within that portal. So you sign up for this online account, online portal, and then through there you select whichever form that you want to fill out. Once you select it, you can click start application. I think that's what it says, and then you fill out the form, and then after you're done with the application itself, you have the fields where you upload all the documents. Once you're done uploading the documents, you will have your application completed, and there will be an option to pay for this application to submit it. Well, I think this one is actually free. There is no payment, but let me double check. Filing fee, 0. Okay, so there is no fee, so you will just be able to submit it once you complete it online. So if you can please provide a follow-up comment, I would really appreciate it. Which specific link doesn't work? Are you able to create an online account at USCIS after clicking this file online? And if you are, then if it's within the within the account, let me know and I'll be able to check it on my end and log into my personal account and see if I can create it on my end. So please let me know. It would be great. Just please don't reply to this comment here. Submit a separate comment, please, because if you do respond it to your own comment within this, for some reason YouTube does not send me the notifications for that. Okay, let's move on to the next question comment from Sagal Abdullahi. Sorry if I'm mispronouncing the name. They are still working on 2014. When are they working on 2016? Since my priority is 2016. Okay, so you posted another comment. Let me read that as well. Family-based F1 visa 2016, no move at all. They're still working on 2014. Why? Okay, Sagal, excellent questions, and I know it's annoying, it's frustrating. We haven't seen any movement on visa bulletin for the past like year and a half. almost 2 years. But we had some good and bad news as of April 2023 visa bulletin. And I'll explain why it's good and bad news. The good and bad news come from the one category that finally updated after a very, very long time of nothing being updated on the visa bulletin, and it's the F2A. Finally, the F2A is showing not movement, but an update. It used to be current, but it's now showing about 2.5 years backlog. This 2.5 years backlog, it comes from not the visa cap, the issue that we're having with the organic backlog, let's call it that, right? The organic backlog that comes from the limitation that is on the visas, on the number of visas that are issued each year, all right? The F2A was always current because there was always immigrant visas available, so practically there was no wait. Once you're approved, once you're documentarily qualified in F2A, your visa is already current and it's available, the interview is scheduled. Now we see, as of April 2023, like I said, it just came out, this information, that there is a 2.5 year backlog. Now this backlog that is on this particular, because it was current, it comes, and I call it artificial backlog, it comes from the whole pandemic closures that we experienced about 2 years ago. All right, and that you can see reflect on the F2A. So of course this is not very good news. This is kind of bad news because something that was current is now showing 2.5 years backlog. All right, but on the plus side, on the good news side, we are finally seeing some updates on visa bulletin. And I'm thinking that because we saw an update on one category, within the next few months, within the next several issues of the new visa bulletins, May, June, July, we will see the updates on the rest of the categories. Now, going back to your question, since your priority date was in 2016 and they're still working on 2014 and you're wondering why, this is why. Because there is, judging by the F2A, judging by this F2A, there is about 2.5 years of that artificial backlog from the closures that we experienced during pandemic. So a very rough estimate, but at the same time, judging by some information that we have from another category, if you are in a, which category you're in? You're in F1 category. If you take the F1 category, August 2016, which was not updated for a very long time, and you add about 2.5 years that we have in F2A, because artificial backlog, it's going to apply the same amount of time to everything else. Because for about 2 years, nothing was processed, no immigrant visas were issued. Well, maybe not 2 years, a little bit less, but still, this closure, on top of already existing backlog, the closures added quite a lot more time, as we can see from F2A, 2.5 years. So, a very rough estimate, add about 2.5 years to the F1 as well, and you will get about 2014. So, it's not good news, but it is update. And having an update is better than just being in the dark and looking at these dates and thinking, why am I not getting? I'm already past that time. My priority date is past that time, and nothing is happening. So, with that being said, I think in the next couple months we will see the updated dates. They're most likely not going to look pleasant. They will be going further, longer waits, but at least it will be some updates. So, if you're not subscribed to this channel, make sure to subscribe, because May comes. I will make a separate video on the visa bulletin comparing it to April, and then same thing every month I will be doing a new visa bulletin. So I'm gonna post this here. Actually, it's on the same video, so I'll just post this right here. And we're gonna move on to the next question coming from Tashauni Harrison. I'm in the F2B all chargeability area, and I was documentarily qualified in March 2021. Priority date October 2015. Do you think I'm close to getting through? Thank you, Tashani. Thank you very much for your question. Congratulations on being documentarily qualified. Being documentarily qualified is a big step. All right, it's a step, and the reason why I say it's a big step because I personally struggled on that step. All right, whenever I was petitioning for my parents, it was It was a lot of back and forth, let's just say that, because they didn't like this and they didn't like that, and the time that they take between not liking this and then reviewing the new information is like few months. So on top of all the waiting, you're, waiting just 3 months for no reason, just for them to review the case again. So you're already documentarily qualified, that's great. One thing that I want to mention about being documentarily qualified is that as of fairly recently, okay, NVC, they started documentarily qualifying people closer to the availability of the immigrant visa. Before it wasn't like that. Before it was once you're approved by USCIS and your case is transferred to the NVC, once NVC receives your case, they open the CAC portal for you to log in, to submit everything, to pay everything, and become documentarily qualified. And then people were waiting for years and years and years to, for the availability of their immigrant visas. Now it's a little bit of a different process. Now they are waiting closer to the availability of the immigrant visa, and then they allow you to, log into the portal, but they don't open all of the features within the portal where you can submit the documents, where you can pay the fees, until the immigrant visa, until closer to the availability of the immigrant visas. Okay, so now with that information, with all of that being said, right, you have been documentarily qualified back in March 2021. Now, considering from the previous answer that I was talking about 2.5 years of that artificial backlog that happened due to pandemic closures, March 2021 plus roughly 2.5 years, we have sometime in 2023, possibly early 2024. But even if it's early 2024, you are looking at really compared to how long people wait, and you've been waiting since 2015. That's a very, very long time, 8 years. Compared to 8 years, obviously, 6 months, maybe a year, it's a lot better. All right. So you are definitely somewhere around the corner, and you wouldn't be documentarily qualified if you weren't. So that's a good news. Not such a great news is that there's still a little bit time to wait, judging by what we have at least so far from Visa Bulletin. But again, hopefully in the next couple of months, we will see some updates for the rest of the categories, and it will allow us all to make some better predictions, better judgments. So I'm gonna post this, and we're gonna move on. And there's actually a response from Sagal Abdullahi. You're very close. That is true. Yes. And Sagal, actually, I appreciate your response. When you're responding, when you post your comment for me, right? I really appreciate it. But when you respond to other people's comments, I appreciate it even more. Why? Because it helps. It really does help. When you have a petition, when you have an application that is pending and you don't know what's going on, you're in the dark, and then you have a person with a similar petition in a similar situation that had some kind of movement on their petition, it helps, because now you can kind of estimate roughly and see what other people's situations look like. It really does help, Okay, let's move on to the next question from Basga Urush. Probably mispronounced it, I'm very sorry. Application approved 2010, Nebraska Center. Congratulations. Now no time is shown on USCS site. Okay, yes, that makes sense. We sent query and got answer to check with NVC. Can you explain how long the procedure will take, I'm assuming? Basga, hopefully I'm pronouncing your name correctly. Great question. The reason why you're not seeing anything on USCS anymore, because your case is not with USCS anymore. Once your family petition, I-130, petition for alien relative, is approved with USCIS, your case is transferred to the NVC for further processing, becoming documentarily qualified, and so forth. All right. Now, I know you are 2010 priority date, and we're going to take a look at the Visa Bulletin. I don't know which category you're in. Probably we might be able to guess it judging by your priority date. But if you do need to find out any kind of information, Since your case was already transferred to the NVC, you should have received either the email or mail, physical mail, a letter from USCIS. It's called notice of action, basically, saying that that's it, your case is approved and is transferred to the NVC. Then you receive the email or physical mail, depending on which information you provided in your initial petition, from NVC saying that's it, we got your case, here's your case number, invoice number. They give you two numbers. With that case number and invoice number, you can log into the CAAC, the NVC portal, where you continue now the second stage basically of the process, where you submit your affidavit of support for the beneficiary, your application, the visa application at the US Embassy. You pay for that. You submit all your financial documentations to become documentarily qualified, which is the process that we were talking about when I was addressing Tashani's comment. All right. So with all of that being said, if you want to submit an inquiry with NVC, the only way to do that is they have what's called NVC public inquiry form, and I'll show you how to find it. You can find it on the Department of State official website. Again, for everyone who's watching, always the links, always make sure that it's .gov. This is the regular person, the regular some kind of business organization, whatever, they will never be able to get that .gov website. All right, so .gov, it means it's a government website, so the information obviously that is related to whatever kind of procedure that you're getting involved with the government. In our case, it's the immigration, right? Official government sources. Okay, so we're gonna go to Contact Us. I'm gonna open it in a new tab, Contact Us, and then we're gonna click on US Visas Contacts, and then scroll down and you will see there is a public inquiry form right here. So we're gonna click on that, and then you will find the link right here, online immigrant visas inquiry only. That's exactly what you need, public inquiry form. We're gonna click on that, and that will give us the online form that you will have to fill out your NVC case number, not USCS case number, not the receipt number, NVC case number that you should have received once your petition was approved. Principal, that's the petitioner, applicant full name, all right? Principal applicant's date of birth, petitioner's full name. Actually, never mind. I think this is the person who's going to immigrate. No, never mind. So principal applicant is going to be the beneficiary in this case. I don't know why they just didn't put beneficiary, because they did put petitioner here. So this will be beneficiary's information, beneficiary's date of birth, petitioner's full name, who are you, whether you're a petitioner or beneficiary, email address, and then your question. Obviously be very professional, very polite in your inquiry, but that's how you submit the inquiry, and that's the inquiry that they will respond to. Okay, if you want, Basga, I'm probably mispronouncing your name and I'm very sorry about that. If you want, you can provide a little bit more information. Again, don't respond to my comment here because I'm not going to receive notification. Just submit a separate comment with priority date, which actually, never mind, you already put the priority, 2010, with the category, and also the chargeability area would be helpful. But that's really it. And I'm actually going to take a look at the visa bulletin, and we will see if there's anything from 2010. Well, F3, possible, maybe potentially F4. Yeah, so definitely, if you can provide which preference category we're talking about, that would be a little bit helpful for me to give you some, not very, very rough estimates. For everyone who's watching, it's very, very rough estimates because things can speed up, things can slow down. But as of what we have on the visa bulletin and knowing the artificial backlog, we can roughly, very roughly, estimate at least something. Okay, let's move on to the next question from Michael Davis. Hello, my priority date is 2014 and my case was documentarily qualified in 2021. When can I expect an interview? Category F1. Michael, congratulations on becoming documentarily qualified. It's exactly the same answer for you as I have answered Tashani's. Since you are already documentarily qualified, it means that your immigrant visa, it was very close to the availability of that immigrant visa, and then the whole pandemic situation happened, the closures and everything, and again, judging by the F2A, which I know it's not applicable to you, all right? But F2A, as a recent update, it shows us roughly how much of a backlog, artificial backlog from the pandemic we have. And it's about 2.5 years on F2A. So add about 2.5 years to yours on the 2021. We're looking at 2023 or maybe possibly the beginning of 2024. Again, super rough estimates. We will know for sure. Well, I wouldn't say for sure, but we would have better estimates once we have the updates on the rest of the categories. And I'm thinking, since we got an update on F2A, we will get the updates on the rest of the categories in the next couple of months. So hopefully you can subscribe, and May comes, the new visa bulletin comes out. I'll make a video on it, going through all of the categories, comparing it to the previous months, and we'll see. Hopefully it will be helpful. All right, I'm gonna pause this and we're gonna move on to the next question from Mark Tungol. Mark, thank you very much for being publicly subscribed. I appreciate that. Can you help me how to do expedite USCS letter? Example, how to do it, thank you so much, or how to start it so I have idea to do it. I keep coming back to your page. It really helped me a lot. I appreciate you answering my question regarding thank you, or what are the reasons to expedite a USCS letter to get approved by USCS, or any reason to expedite a letter. A visa K 130, expediting a letter, spouse beneficiary visa. Thank you. Okay, so it's a beneficiary. So it's I-130, not K-130. Okay, so whenever it comes to, again, whenever it comes to the petition for alien relative, I-130, there's 2 stages, right? 2 big stages. There's also U.S. Embassy, but major stages, USCIS, and then NVC or CAC with the Department of State. All right. Whenever it comes to expediting requests, you can, if the case is still with USCIS, you can submit the inquiry or expedited request with USCIS. Once it is with NVC, obviously you submitted an expedited request with the NVC. Now with the NVC, it's a little bit easier because they actually have a dedicated email to send that. It's just literally email sending to NVC saying, hey, this is the reason why I'm requesting it to be expedited. Please expedite my case. That's really it. In order to qualify for that, you have to have your immigrant visa already available, and you have to be documentarily qualified. All right, that's the 2 requirements that NVC has to become eligible for requesting that expedited processing, basically. Obviously, you have to have good reasons, some kind of emergency, some kind of financial hardship. They have a few reasons, but at the end of the day, it's at their discretion. So your reasoning might be really, really good looking for you, but for them, they might just say, no, it's not good enough. Don't be upset if that happens. It happens a lot. With USCIS, it's a little bit simpler and a bit more complicated at the same time. And the reason for that is because USCIS does not have a dedicated anything email or anything like that for that expedited processing request, basically. There is really only one more or less reasonable way to request expedited processing, kind of, if you have your case pending outside, if it's been pending outside of the normal processing times, all right? And for that, you would have to go and check your case on USCIS. However, the problem with that is, as of recently, USCIS have been updating their processing times. They were been actually becoming longer. So really, even if you do look at the processing times on USCS, there is no guarantee that these are the actual processing times. But with all of that being said, there is still a way to request expedited processing with USCS. It's a very long shot, but you can do it. And you can do it by typing up a physical actual letter, all right? Attaching the supporting documents that show the reasoning behind your request for expedited processing, and then sending it directly to the processing center where your application, your petition I-130 is being processed. It's a super long shot. Again, it's a discretion of USCS. Most of these expedited requests are denied, but you can give it a shot. If it's approved, why not? Why not take the shot? Now, whenever it comes to typing up the letter itself, there is no format. There is nothing specific that you need to kind of make sure that that is in the letter, except where the letter is going to, obviously the address, to, from who the letter is coming from you, obviously, your identifying information, obviously, besides the full name, address, your contact information, all that good stuff, obviously the case number, all right, whatever information you have, receipt numbers, alien registration number if you have that, obviously date of birth, all that sort of stuff for you and for the beneficiary, identifying fully the information of the beneficiary, right? And then the reasons why you are requesting that expedited processing. And again, it really can be anything from some kind of emergency situation. Obviously we're talking about families here. If a family is separated, that's already an emergency. All right, family is not supposed to be separated. Family is supposed to be together. Okay, so one person, husband, wife. Obviously, husband needs, his wife next to him. And if it's been a long time, it's an emergency, all right? Not good. And you can argue with anybody can argue with me and say, this is not an emergency. And I would say, yeah, of course. But then again, it depends on how you define that emergency. To me, this is an emergency. To you, I'm sure this is emergency as well. But if you have any more reasons for that, put them in that letter, all right? So mention all of the reasons that you think, why you think your case should be processed faster. And then for each reason, make sure to add some kind of supporting documentation. Let's say, for example, if it's some kind of financial hardship, then you are putting in, some kind of additional documents that show the financial hardship. Like, for example, you receiving public benefits. If you're receiving public benefits, it already shows that your income is, you're struggling financially, financial hardship. That already shows that there is some kind of emergency situation. You need the support of other person. But that's really it. That's really, I think, the best I can do to answer your question. I wish I could help you a little bit more, but if I do, kind of give you the template, if I give you something like that, then it will become like a consultation, and I'm not allowed to do that by law because I'm not an immigration attorney. And this is the reason why this called free immigration help. All right, I don't provide services, for money. I don't do this for money at all. I do this because I am myself an immigrant, and I've been through all of the stuff most of the stuff that people ask me on this channel. Most of the stuff I've been through myself, and I've made a lot of mistakes going through this process, and a lot of delays I had, a lot of court hearings and background checks and interviews and a lot of stuff. Okay, so going through this process, it allowed me to navigate, and that's one of the things that even a lot of immigration attorneys, and I'm speaking about this from the experience myself. I worked with a lot of, not one, not two, well over 10 different immigration attorneys throughout my immigration here in the United States of America. And I had a lot of problems because of incompetence, I actually have a separate video where I discuss this kind of stuff, and I actually have a video where I talk about how to find a good immigration attorney, because I have experience with really bad immigration attorneys, and I've seen the things that they do and their incompetence, and a lot of it comes from, yes, you read the book, and what's written in the book is, yes, one thing, but actually dealing with the process and going through the process, most of the times it's really completely different. It really takes experience in order to understand it and in order to navigate it. And God bless me with this experience, and I can only share it with other people. Okay, let's move on to the next question from Priscilla Tamayo S. Hello, thank you for this information. I have a question. I am currently in a F1 student visa, and my husband and I were looking to apply for the F2A visa this month. Can we do concurrent filing for I-130 and I-485? Would I have to remain in my student visa until approved? Thank you in advance. Priscilla, you're very welcome. Hopefully my answer will be helpful. So whenever it comes to submitting the I-130 petition, when the beneficiary is, and it seems like you are the beneficiary in this case, not seems like you are the beneficiary in this case, you will be the beneficiary. Whenever it comes to beneficiary being in the United States, you have two options, right? Especially in this case, in the F2A, because there is the visa cap on that particular category. You can submit I-130 and I-485 together, but if you look around, if you talk to immigration attorneys, they would recommend sending the I-130 by itself without sending the I-485, and I will explain why. The reason for that is because there is a visa cap. There is a limited amount of the immigrant visas that are available for the F2A category. As of April 2023, we see that on the visa bulletin there is now a 2.5 years delay. So with that being said, if you are 100% sure, which being an F1 non-immigrant status student, it's hard to be sure for a fact whether you will be in the United States by the time your petition is approved with USCIS and then moved to the NVC. All right, you can't really be sure whether you will be in the United States or not. It's really not a big deal, but if you do have to go outside of the United States, then of course you are much better off not filing that I-485 and just have the petition processed and the NVC like usual, and then going to the U.S. Embassy in the country where you're from, and then getting that immigrant visa once it is available. All right, compared to filing both of the forms right now and paying for both of the forms and then just, kind of leaving everything in the air, not knowing whether you're going to be here or not. But you still have that option because you're here in the United States. Whenever it comes to the F1, this is, I think, the most important questions, because I actually seen people who assumed that just because they have the I-130 petition pending, that they can remain in the United States and wait for that petition to be processed, which obviously is a very, very bad situation to be in, because you have to maintain whatever status, whether it's a new status. For example, right now you're on student visa, right? Maybe by the time that you're closer to the graduation, maybe you will be able to find an employer who will be willing to sponsor you. All right, so you change the status from F1 to non-immigrant work visa or immigrant visa, but you don't need an immigrant visa because you will have the immigrant petition that is going to be waiting for you eventually. But at least for now, right? Then it's completely fine. Or if you can extend that F1 status, let's say if you're, I don't know how long your school is, how many years that particular degree or whatever it is you're getting, school or university. But if you can maintain that F1 status for a couple of years until that I-130 petition is approved, then you're completely fine. Just make sure that you maintain some kind of legal status while you're here in the United States of America. This is very, very important. So I would concentrate more on this and just submit the I-130 petition as soon as possible. You can file it online. In fact, that's another huge plus of filing just the I-130 separately, because you can just file it online literally today or tomorrow. And that's it. Seriously, the sooner you start the process, the better, because regardless, there will be a lot of time waiting involved. Hopefully, we will have some movement on the visa bulletin, and the F2A speeds up and catches up, because it used to be current a couple of years ago. So hopefully, it will catch up to being current again, and there is no artificial backlog that we see right now from the closures during the pandemic. But we never know. All right, so the sooner you start these petitions, the better, because you start the clock. So I'm gonna post this. Hopefully my answer was helpful. If you have any follow-up questions, do not hesitate. For anyone who's watching, if you have follow-up questions, do not hesitate. As many questions as you have, you're more than welcome to post them here. Without your questions, I wouldn't have this channel, I wouldn't have these videos. All right, let's move on. We're gonna cover these two more questions today because we're already over 30 minutes. Amit Falke, hopefully I'm pronouncing correct. I'm sorry if I'm pronouncing wrong. Thank you for answering my question. You're very welcome, Amit. I have a clarification to be made. If my I-130 is approved for F2A category, consular processing, the visa bulletin says date of filing for immigrant visa is current. Does it mean my spouse and child can get an immigrant visa interview, and if approved, they can travel to USA? I mean, yes. So thank you for this question. That's a great question. And sorry for the confusion. It's not my fault exactly, but this right here is what's confusing people. Because if you look here at the graph B, you have F2A showing current. Okay? But then you go to the graph A, and F2A is showing 2.5 years delay. Why? The reason for that is because this right here has not been updated yet, unfortunately. So if you look at we're gonna go to March 2023, and I'll show you. You see, it shows current here and current here. So I'm thinking in the next few months, all of the rest of the stuff will update, including the F2A in the graph B. So this is not the correct information. Don't go by it. As of right now, it appears that there is about 2.5 years delay. So after you're documentarily qualified, after everything is done, people are still waiting for the availability of their immigrant visas, even in the F2A category, which is really sad, because this is this is the only category in the family preferences, in the family reunification cases. F2A used to be the only one that was current, and now it's not. And it's really sad because it wasn't organically that happened, but we kind of did it. I mean United States government. Okay, let's move on to the very last. I mean, I'm sorry, I wish I could give you a better, more uplifting answer. But at least we see the updates, okay? Yes, we still have to wait, but at least we see some updates. I have petition right now that is going to be pending for a very long time, F4 category, and this been December 2007 for like more than a year now. No movement. So I know personally how it feels to see the update, even if it's not such a great update, but at least it's like, okay, finally things start moving along. They're clearly working on this. Yes, there's more time to wait, but at least it's updated information. Okay, the last one for today is from Basga Urush. Again, all right, hi, our case is I-130 approved. Maybe we'll have some more information from Nebraska in 2020. We also sent a query to USCS and told us to send email to NVC. Yes, but still we didn't receive any response. And can you explain why there is no response? Okay, Basga, so I already answered this question, but from this second comment, I think you really need to look into the documentation that you received, because this second stage, NVC, is probably, not probably, it's more important, I would say, than the USCIS. USCIS is just initial step, initial approval, basically establishing the relationship between you and the family member that you're inviting, really. But the NVC, documentarily qualified, means that they review, on top of all that relationship information, they also review all the financial information and establish whether or not you are a sufficient sponsor, basically, to bring an immigrant to the United States of America. So it's a very important process. I would recommend doing the research on NVC, more on the process with NVC, going through all the documentation and finding these letters, because one of those letters will give you the information for the portal at NVC that you can log in and start the whole documentarily, become documentarily qualified, the whole process. There's a lot of things that you will have to do. And considering that it's been a while since 2010, 13 years already, I'm thinking that you are already definitely due for that documentary qualification, if I can say it like that. But again, Basga, if you can provide a little bit more information, which category you're talking about, I can look at the visa bulletin and maybe give you some rough estimates. So thank you everyone for tuning in, for watching. I hope my answers were helpful. If you have any additional questions, do not hesitate to ask them in the comments below. As always, I appreciate all your time. God bless, and I'll see you in the next video.